are ready to be empowered and motivated, and we're going to talk about so much. Like, I'm overwhelmed with all these things that this man does. You guys may remember him actually from the MTV days. He was a host of the Lyricist Lounge show, which is where I remember him from. You may recognize him with the fro. They call him the Afro guy. They call him the main man. They call him Power MALU. He is an artist, activist, advocate for our community, for our Latinos, for our minorities, for our women, for Puerto Rico. Fitness, hip hop. We're gonna go from like the hip hop to now the community. We'll talk about Big Pun a little bit because he has, a lot of love for Big Pun, and we're just gonna get into it. I want to thank everybody for joining us again. Please share the video. Ask any questions. Put it down below. I would try to get to everything as much as possible. We only do have an hour, so we will get as much as possible in. Yeah, so let's start because he's here. Can you let me request you first, baby? This is like this is special for me. It's a lot. It's a lot of information he can give, and people love him. Revolutionary. He reminds me of La Bruja. Hi, my love.
What's up?
We're here.
What's going on?
Chilling, overwhelmed with like all these notes for you.
Oh, word.
Yeah, because you've done so much, you know what I mean? And I want to like broadcast that for the ones who are not familiar with who MALU is. Now, am I saying your name right?
Yeah, my name is Power. It's Power MALU.
Power MALU.
Yeah, like skip to MALU.
I love it. And power is very powerful because you're involved with a lot. And that's why I want to bring you on a little earlier, because I just have so much I want to talk to you about. I can't wait to bring you in studio once we get on set, but let's just break ice now. Can you just introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, my name is Power. I'm a New Yorican from the Lower East Side of Manhattan. My parents are born in Puerto Rico. My dad is from Santurce, Puerto Rico. My mom is from Camuy. And I'm an artist, athlete, activist, and I do everything for my community, and I use my platforms, and I don't take anything for granted. I'm all about helping our people and uplifting our people.
And this is the perfect time to express these things, because we're all listening, we're all involved, we're interested to know what's going on. You are very powerful. I've been following you. I've always recognized you, and I just couldn't figure out from where, but I'm like, he's in the business somewhere. And then when I started doing my research, I'm like, MTV, I remember watching it. You have a distinctive look and it's never changed. How do you maintain the look?
Wow, I mean, I eat healthy. I drink a lot of water. So I think that helps me to maintain my look as far as like not aging as fast. I do a lot of exercise. I run. I'm part of a big running community. It's a worldwide movement. We started in 2013, and now 2003, and now we are around the world. And I'm also part of a boxing organization called Overthrow New York. It's actually an artist, athlete, activist hub, and it's based on the Lower East Side as well. So being a part of all of those things, I'm able to kind of tie in all my worlds together and not leave one behind. So that's why I say artist, athlete, activist.
Absolutely. You're very revolutionary. You remind me of like La Bruja, like that's very into, you already know. La Bruja, I'm having on next week. She's freaking amazing.
Well, that's my sister. I love her. We have a lot of love for each other. She actually came on one of my sessions that I do on IG as well. We've known each other for over 20 years. And so that's why you see the vibe and the energy is the same, because we're truthful to ourselves first and foremost, so that we can add on to our communities and be able to be a positive influence.
Before we start our conversation, I want to make sure how you feeling. How are you doing during this quarantine time?
Oh, I'm feeling great. what helps me to feel good is when I'm able to help others. And so yesterday, actually was out in the project. I'm going to go again today, but I was able to go out and volunteer and help those that are less fortunate, because I consider myself privileged in the sense that I'm actually healthy and I'm able to go out and help where there's others that are vulnerable and are in positions where they're not able to go out and get food, or they're very afraid of what's to happen. They're caught up in the news. Like, I consider myself privileged because I'm blessed that I have these gifts that I can use, such as meditation and these things that I practice on the daily, so that I can like help to calm myself down, to help put things into perspective. And I hope to be able to share that with others because it's so powerful. Like, I know at one time, like I come from a Latino family, so there's a lot of worry that comes along with that. It's like, mucho cuidado when you go over there, or ten cuidado. Like, they're always listening to the news and the news is like the Bible, and it's like a lot of fear that's instilled in our people. So
Absolutely.
growing up, that was like subconsciously, like that kind of like had an impact in me. So I had to learn how to reprogram my mind and remove all of those things that were taught to me, so that I can really learn how to lead with my spirit, like allow my soul to lead the way and not let myself be controlled by the brain and the nervous system that only wants to survive. We're meant to thrive. So because I feel like I'm privileged to be able to have those gifts, then I want to be able to go out there and share with the people. And if I can volunteer, that's what I'm going to do at whatever capacity, because you can volunteer any way you can. If you can't physically go out there, then you can share information as to what's going on. We have to just help our people as much as we can, because being in this and being an activist, I understand that it's the people that can only save the people.
Absolutely. And, you know, we have platforms, media platforms, people are watching it. You know, it seems sometimes overrated, but I've come across great conversations. For an example, your live yesterday with the doula?
With Jolly, yeah. That's
Breathtaking.
right.
I'm not trying to steal nobody's guts, but she is amazing. And I just need to broadcast the information she gives.
Yeah, please don't ever think about it as stealing the guest, because this is another thing that I want to share with people, is to understand that when we connect with people, like whatever resources we have, they're not our resources. They're meant to be shared. And if we connect, we're meant to be a bridge and share that with our communities, because that's one of the things that has held our people back, is just trying to hoard resources or not wanting to connect one person with the next, because you feel like you just need to like hold on, and that's the only way. Like you feel like controlling, and we need to get away from that, and we need to be more open to just like sharing with our community to help uplift one another. And when it comes to information, it's so key that information gets out there. And that's why I'm looking at it more as an opportunity. Whoever I'm connected with, I'm going to try to like share that with others. And that's so important, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to grow and evolve as a people. So please have Jolly on the show. I already told her, like, you know, that you'll be reaching out to her. Like that's what this is all about. You know, like whenever I bring people onto the live, it's meant so people can connect, so they can familiarize themselves with people that come on to the live and just like connect and be like, oh, maybe I could work with you on this. And that's what this is about. You know, we got to get away from what they have. These systems that have been put in place have purposely been made to keep us divided. And it's up to us to break those systems and break the chains from our brains and just like come together as a people. So please, you know, use your platform the way you're using your platform now to share with your people. That's what I do. So that's what this is all about.
Thank you so much for being that way. I appreciate individuals like you. Being a female in this business is very hard, especially when you're a one-woman show and you're doing everything by yourself, which I love. But, you know, sometimes you need the assistance. You need a village. And people are selfish with their resources, with their contacts. But they're the first ones to say, oh, my God, you're amazing. And I love your show. And you're going to be like a star. But where's the village? Where's their assistance? You know, I work hard. I schedule. I call. I email. I'm consistent. I'll bother you for a whole year. Not getting annoying to you, but I do my work before I even reach out to someone. When I reach out to anyone, it's because you're my last resort. You know what I mean? Because I really just need to fulfill this. And then I would build my own bridge. I would do my own network. I don't need you to give me a handout. So thank you for saying that. It's very empowering, and thank you. We need more individuals like you in this business. I want to bring everyone back to the beginning of yourself. We are from the Lower East Side. We're Puerto Rican. Can you just explain to us a little bit about your growing up and how your journey kind of went?
So growing up, I would attribute a lot of my community building to the Boys Club of New York, because we had a Boys Club on Pitt Street, and we were fortunate to have that Boys Club because it was able to bring kids together from different parts of the neighborhood. So whether you were from the Hill or from the Ave or from Smith, and all of these different areas of the Lower East Side, a lot of people would come to the Pitt Street Boys Club, and they would be part of the different activities that we would have. And that's how I was able to connect with a lot of the kids from the neighborhood. So whereas if we didn't have the Boys Club, then you would have this like thing of like these barriers, like, oh, they from over there, so we don't go over there, or they're from over there, we don't mess with them, that kind of thing. And that helped me to understand the power of community. So then from that, I kind of like continued on just like connecting with people, whether it was through sports or seeing people on the street, and just being very outspoken and very outgoing, and not holding myself in one box or just in one part of the neighborhood, one part of the community. I roamed throughout the entire Lower East Side, and that helped me to understand that we are all connected and how similar we are. And so that was like part of my upbringing. And then of course, playing like manhunt and tag and all of these things, that we would venture off to like abandoned buildings and venture off to the amphitheater on the FDR Drive when they actually had the shell. Right now it's just it's kind of like the shell, but it had the house. It was like a house with broken windows. It was just kind of like it was abandoned, so we would play tag in there and just like explore. So we were very daring, and we would, you know, take a lot of risks, and that kind of like helped to shape who we were, and just connecting with different people from the community. So growing up, one of the things that the way I got the name Power was, so I have someone I call my uncle, it was through my upbringing, and basically he saw like how I was like venturing to the different neighborhoods, and how I was, that I didn't just stick to one group, and I was able to somehow bring people together and connect with people, and they would come to my neighborhood, and then people would be like, wait a minute, you know, we supposed to not like that group or not get along with that group, but they see me talking to them, whatever. So it was kind of like being a mediator, but without even forcing it. It was just like by default, I knew everyone, and I made it my business to move around throughout the entire neighborhood. And I was given the name Power. It was like a nickname. And so I started doing this public access television show through Manhattan Neighborhood Network called My Life Television. And I would go around to the different communities, and then I would I would start promoting parties and handing out flyers. And I was asking the promoters how I could get into the club. And this was being a teenager, about like 15 years old. And I was able to go into the clubs, and then I would bring the cameras with me. And through that, it just like grew from there. Just like my interest in wanting to get out there, use my platform to connect with people and share information and that sort of thing. And so I say that from early on, I was like a community person, and just trying to figure out how can I use whatever resources that I have to bring people together, and then also to inform them as to what's going on. So even at that age, I became a intern for Al Sharpton, and just kind of like learning how activism worked. And you know, I was doing very, very simple things like answering the phone. Like a lot of people were calling about different cases that they wanted him to take on. You know, I was responsible for bringing him his macadamia nut cookies and milk, and you know, these things like that just had me in the mix of like how this happens, attending protests, you know, being part of, you know, they had this event at the Apollo with James Brown was performing, and it was a thing for Betty Shabazz, rest in peace. And so and shout out, you know, today's Malcolm X born day, so shout out to Malcolm X.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was in the mix for early on. I was very curious and wanted to know about community and the importance of being an activist. And that's what I was drawn towards. So I think you know, my calling I knew from early on.
Your purpose.
It was just kind of like figuring out how I'm going to use these other platforms that I'm being blessed with to continue that journey.
Absolutely. And you're continuing. I mean, you made such a difference. it takes a certain individual to be in these protests, to be an advocacy, or advocate, I should say. Have you ever had any challenges or situations, or just something that you remember from any protest you were involved with? Because, you know, it could be an intimidating thing, especially being Latino, fighting for women rights, you know, our communities, Puerto Rico. I mean, you know,
Or
dealing
the
with the
bigger,
president we have now too, you know, it doesn't help
yeah.
much.
When you say challenges, like what kind of challenges do you mean? Like challenges from the outside or something that?
Just like has anything kind of affected you that you can remember that just got to you, but it just kept you going? Because like I said,
Yeah.
it's tough situations to be in.
Okay.
People get arrested, people get beat up, people argue, like it's intense.
Yeah. So what I would say is the thing that triggers me the most, and upsets me the most, is just knowing how our people get caught up with the divide and conquer mentality, or the me mentality. And organizing is very tough, whether you're organizing protest or trying to organize your people to come together for a cause, because for some, I'm not going to say from some reason, for the reason that people have been taught, like these things that I'm saying, that we have to reprogram our minds. Part of it has to do with wanting to be the one, or being taught that you have to be in a certain position, or the one that comes up with the idea to get the credit for a lot of different things, and that slows us down. And I'm talking about as a people in general. So when you're building community and trying to work with each other, and it's similar to what you were talking about, if you reach out to someone that can help you for whatever they've been, and something is instilled in their brain that they can't share that with you because they're threatened by you either taking their place, and all of these things that we've been programmed this way. And it's part of why and how we're being controlled, and how they control the narrative, and we have to switch that. So it's the same thing with organizing, with relief work, doing relief work in Puerto Rico, over here in the US, you know, doing relief work here on the Lower East Side, like working with different people and hearing the different stories of how some people make it more difficult for others to get the help to the people. If
Yep.
we can only see and see the goal, and understand that there is a main goal that we're trying to get to, whether it's helping the people. The main goal is to help the people. It's to decolonize Puerto Rico. The main goal is to decolonize Puerto Rico. Whether it's to get rid of a certain individual in office, or certain individuals in office, that's the goal. Whether it's to end racism, that's the goal. And if our people understand that we are all trying to reach that same goal, and get away from the divisive tactics of, I need to be the one in the front, or I need to be the one that's organizing this, or I need to be the one that gets the credit. It's about sharing and understanding that we all play our positions, and all of our positions are vital. Whether it's the
Absolutely.
janitor or whether it's the CEO, we got to get away from this classism and this racism that's meant to keep us divided as a people, because the power is in the people. So
Yes. Amen.
things that upsets me the most is when people are not able to work together simply because of a title, or simply because in their mind they were meant to believe that they have to be the ones in a certain position to get the credit in order to push this forward. And if it's not, then they're going to block it. So it happens. It's so sad because it happens in all different levels, and politics is the worst, because they'll have people starving in order for them to be able to be the ones to get a photo op delivering food to people that are hungry.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. We
those
know
are
a
the
lot of
kind of
those.
things that we need to get away from. So that for me, that's the only challenge, is the challenge of battling ourselves, you know. And I'm hoping that in a moment like this, that people are able to really sit with themselves, try to meditate. Very simple. Just close your eyes, breathe in, acknowledge your breath, be grateful for your breath, be grateful for living at this moment, and being able to have the opportunity to share whatever resources you have, and connecting with people, and helping to build one another up, and using the ego for its rightful purpose, which always was to uplift people. But because we have free will, and the powers that be, or the evil entities understand how the ego works, they also stroke the ego. And a lot of our main movements are we talk about civil rights, we talk about, you know, rest in peace to Malcolm X. Today, we talk about the brother. We talk about all of these major movements that were disrupted because our people were able to fall into the divide and conquer trick, the oldest trick in the book. And so in order for us to work together and make real change happen, we got to get away from that. So that's the only challenge that I see that I've faced. And I hope that my people will start to wake up from that and get away from that, especially using this time now to be truthful with yourself and do away with the distractions and those systems that were put in place to keep us divided.
Absolutely. For the ones who are joining us, we are having a chat here on the D. Ustin Show, IG Live with Power MALU. We're talking about activism. We're going to talk about hip hop. We're talking about his life. So get in line. If you guys have any questions or concerns or comments, put them below. It's all good. All right. What is going on in your mind about Puerto Rico? I see that you have 2 different flags. Yeah. And for the ones that are not comfortable or familiar with that, can you break down each flag real quick? Because I didn't grow up with the black and white, but I know it's revolutionary. And we kind of debuted that maybe like 2 years ago in the parade. And it was a lot of like controversy, you know, like why is our flag black and white? Why is it negative when it should be, you know? So can we just talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, so the resistance flag, that's the black and white flag, is the resistance flag. And the reason why we have the resistance flag is basically we've been seeing how this government has been mistreating our people for so long. And so if you think about, a lot of people don't know this, but there was this thing called La Ley de la Mordaza, which was the gag law. And in Puerto Rico, you weren't allowed to own a flag. You weren't allowed to own a Puerto Rican flag. You weren't allowed to be prideful to be Puerto Rican. If you have even spoke about patriotism, if you have even
on our island, you mean?
Yes, on
the island. Being denied to show love and culture and all that.
Yep, look up the La Ley de la Mordaza, the gag law.
I never knew that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, this was in the 40s. And so basically, the reason why we have the Puerto Rican Day Parade is because they lifted the gag law, which they got rid of the gag law, and they said, okay, we're not going to punish you anymore. But when the flag, the Puerto Rican flag was actually, if you can see this light blue, so this light blue was the color of the flag. So when you look at this flag, it's the resistance flag. I don't have the flag here. I'll go get it.
I do. Well,
but just an idea of this was it was the light blue, and then the way when they lifted this gag law and they allowed Puerto Rico to once again be able to wave their flag, they changed this light blue to the dark blue to resemble the United States colors. And so that was the only reason why they gave. So it's kind of like, we're going to give you these crumbs and we're going to let you do this, but only because you got to do this. So of course, because you see the Puerto Rican Day Parade, people are so prideful and so excited, and people are like, why are they so happy? Why are they so excited? My goodness. Because at one point, we weren't allowed to be prideful. We were arrested. We were fined $10,000. We were tormented, tortured, put fear inside of us for being prideful to be Puerto Rican, for being prideful, for being Boricuas. And then now they allow us. So of course people are so excited. So people need to understand why that parade exists in the first place. So the resistance flag is very important because we need to remind people of what happened during that time and why we're so prideful. And because we're so prideful, they still try to shut us down and not allow us to talk about the real issues that are going on, which is the debt crisis, all the corruption that's happening on the island. So this is a protest flag. But when you look at this flag, this is the original patriotic flag of Puerto Rico. This is La Bandera de Lares. And so this flag here resembles a little bit the Dominican flag because it was in homage to the Dominican Republic, because Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic worked together. You know, and when you think about our ancestors and you think about our leaders, they always work together. So this one resembles the Cuban flag because Puerto Ricans were part of the Cuban Revolution. Like Puerto Ricans were very connected to Cuba and vice versa. So culturally, you know, when it comes to fighting for our rights, and very connected. So So that's why this one resembles a little bit of Cuba. It's like in reverse. And this one resembles a little bit of the Dominican Republic. Actually, when Puerto Rico first fought for its independence and they gained its independence, it was short-lived. But when you think about our leaders and you think about, you know, our forefathers and our founding fathers, you have to always remember that we always worked together. And there was this union they were working to building this union that they wanted to build, and the Antilles. And so that's why that one is resembles a little bit of the Dominican.
Yeah. So
but
that
and it was also it's important to know that we have a national anthem that it's the original national anthem of Puerto Rico that was written by Lola Rodriguez del Tio. And what happened was that the one that we hear the most, or the one that's most popular, sang by Mark Anthony and others, they basically changed the lyrics to the revolutionary anthem, and so that people don't realize that our people have been fighting for independence for so long and been struggling for independence for so long, and they try to sugarcoat things. So the same way they allow us to wave this flag, they changed the color from a light blue to a dark blue, is the same way they did with the revolutionary anthem. They changed the lyrics and disgustingly made it talk about Columbus and how Columbus saw the beautiful Puerto Rico and when he came, and you know, like, how can you even have this man's, you know, name and song and lyrics that was supposed to be revolutionary? Like the original revolutionary lyrics opens up with Despierta Borinqueño, like wake up, que han dado la señal. They gave us the sign. Let's go. Despierta de este sueño, que es hora de luchar. It's time to fight. You know, that's the spirit of the Boricua, is to fight for our freedom, fight for our independence. And they changed the lyrics into some other, you know, soft, you know, beautiful thing, talking about just the island and not its beautiful people.
Absolutely.
The people that have been slaughtered by all of these like systems that have been put in place to make us slaves. And till this day, we continue to be slaves, especially now with the minimum wage and the Jones Act and all of these debt crisis and all these things put in place to make our people suffer even more. So there's a lot of history for our people to look into, but there's a few books too that you could like look at War Against All Puerto Ricans. There's one called Fantasy Islands, and kind of like show like a couple of like pointers that you can kind of like learn a little bit about what's going on and what's been going on the island.
You know, I've been waving that flag, the dark blue one, and it's a beautiful flag. I mean, we have a beautiful flag, guys. Like, out of all the flags, our flag is dope. But now I'm feeling a certain way. Now I don't even want to wave that flag. I want to wave the one that's sitting in my house with the light blue.
Well,
you know?
yeah. Well, the thing is, like we just have to educate our people so we can understand.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing with everything. Like I'm not judgmental. You know, I'm very open to just like educating people and just like sharing information, because there's people on our own island that don't know certain things about their history. They don't teach you about Don Pedro Albizu Campos. They don't teach you about Emeterio Betances. They don't teach you about all of like Laura Rodriguez del Tigre.
No.
They don't teach you about Lolita Lebron, you know, Canales. Like, no, they don't teach us about our real heroes, right? So it's up to us to share that information. And then when we're able to share that information and share our history, people start saying like, wow, this is crazy. This is why this is like this. Yeah, because they don't teach you. The same way over here in the United States, they'll teach you about George Washington, but they give you very real small history about our natives, about the Africans that came here, like, you know, the African Americans, like, you know, our brown people.
Absolutely.
You know, that help with education, you know, and all kinds of stuff. So they always try to minimize, you know, the things that we accomplish so that they make themselves look like they're the ones. And that's what's been happening forever. I mean, in Puerto Rico, in freaking Ponce, they have a statue of Columbus. It's ridiculous. Like do your history and know, you know, how evil this person was. Like, that's what's important. Like, we need to get away from being the fast food and being like mouth fed, like being like given this. Yeah. Be like, you know what? we're gonna do our own research. We're gonna go get our own stuff, and we're gonna learn about our history, and we're gonna tell our stories.
Yeah, I feel like our culture is very resilient, very strong, very opinionized. We're amazing people. We love hard. We may be tough, but we love hard. And once we love you, ain't no going back. But I feel like, and we're going to get off the subject because there's so much more I want to share with everyone. I do feel like sometimes we lay back because of the lack of resources or the confidence that we lack as Latinos on that island. That Columbus statue should have been knocked down. I don't care if someone would have knocked it down themselves, because he came to our island and killed us as well. We were slaves too. We went through the same thing every other culture went through. And just because we're light-skinned or part of the states, we're still, well, we're part of the states, but we're kind of independent as well. We're a commonwealth. We still go through our stuff too.
We're a colony of the
colony.
United States.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but thank you for all that information, because the ones that are born here, we lack the information. You know, I'm just learning from you today a few things, and I'm not really a reader. I'm not into like culture like that heavy. But as I gotten older and now I'm networking, now I'm doing the show, like now I just want to take it all in so I can give back. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. When's the last time you went to Puerto Rico?
I was there in February.
Crew?
I was there in February for the earthquakes.
Okay.
So, yeah, so basically that's, you know, that's another thing. Like I just try to make it my business, like when I go out there, is to help out. And I've connected with a lot of organizations that are constantly on the ground putting in work. So we try to organize over here, we do fundraisers over here, and then we try to like send money out there, try to be hands-on, you know, trying to
absolutely
making sure that it gets to the people, gets to where it needs to get to. And then we continue to connect with people and build this team, you know, of resilient people that, you know, are not gonna be shut down by the government. Because as you saw when the earthquakes happened, they had this, you know, this suministros, like supplies stored in this warehouse right in
they weren't giving it out,
where the South was hit the hardest. And you know, and they were hiding that from the people. Is ridiculous. And meanwhile, you got people, you know, sending stuff out there, and then people from the other side of the island going to help, and they were like dissing those people. The government is trying to shut those people down, telling them, don't give to those people, you know, if you're gonna deliver stuff, deliver it to us, we'll get it to the people.
Yeah. And we're getting thrown toilet paper rolls, you know, to go fast. You know,
it's crazy.
It's disgusting.
Why would we even like listen to that if we see your actions?
Absolutely
don't back up your words. So,
absolutely.
So in February I was out there and I was like connecting. There was a lot of kids out there in the tents and living out there, you know, in harsh conditions, like really sad. And there were like a bunch of, you know, volunteers that were out there supporting and trying to like get the people, you know, get their help and get them the help that they need. So yeah, I was out there in February, and I would be out there even now, but you know, with this whole situation, so absolutely. I can't, you know, when things get lifted a little bit, and I'll be out there on the ground, because the situation with this COVID thing is growing out there, and it's because of the blatant disrespect of the government, and it's straight up genocide, because all of these disasters that happen, the government withholds help, and they make the conditions way worse for the people, so that they either die off or they're forced to leave the island. And that's exactly
I mean, at one point we were told that the earthquakes were man-made, testing out stuff on the island, you know. That's why it was happening so many times. I want to give a shout out to Ruben Diaz, who joined our group. I don't know if he's still here. I want to give a shout out to Monse, who's out there continuously giving out. I want to give a shout out to Crazy Legs and Rocksteady Crew, who's out there with Red Bull and many others, but those are the ones I can think about right now, and yourself, okay?
Yeah, there's a lot of organizations. El Frente, you know, El Grito de Sunset Park. Like, there's like a lot of different organizations that we're connected to that actually putting in real work, and then supporting organizations that are definitely out there on the daily. Like, we can go out there for a couple of weeks, you know, 2-3 weeks, and help out as much as we can, but we got to continue to support those organizations that live out there and are there on the daily, busting their ass and getting so much like bad treatment from this government.
Absolutely. Let's go into hip hop days, because you do have involvement. I would consider you a pioneer because you're still involved. Like I said, you have a distinguished look. You've come a long way. You had your own show on MTV, what, in the 90s or 2000s?
The show on MTV was in the 2000s. My public access show was in the 90s.
And it was Lyricist Lounge Show, and you had many guests, right?
Yep.
Even one including Big Pun that aired actually. Go ahead,
Well,
tell the
no,
story.
actually, no. So the story with Pun, we had Erykah Badu, Common, Mos Def, Slick Rick, MC
Yeah,
Light. Yeah, we did
yeah.
that. We had like a bunch of different artists that came on the show, and it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. It was like sketches that we would do, and the dialogue would be in rhyme. So before the
So
Lyricist
dope.
Lounge aired, I had a conversation with Pun, and I went over to his house where he was staying, and we talked about Lyricist Lounge. I told him, you know, this is about to air, and I would love to have you come on. This is like after he came back from the camp where he was like working on
Losing the weight.
He lost a lot of weight, and basically I was having a conversation with him about that and hoping that he would come on, and he definitely was down to do it. Ironically, the debut of the Lyricist Lounge, when the show aired, is the day that Pun passed away. So he didn't even get a chance to see the show, or he heard me talk about it and I told him about it and stuff, but it never worked out. But
He was there in
Pun
spirit. He was there in spirit.
Absolutely, and he's still in spirit, because Pun was very about, you know, he was a jokester, but he was very prideful. You know, everything that I'm doing right now, I'm sure Pun would back it up, as far as like, you know, Puerto Rico and protesting and standing up for our people, and then also any type of stuff that has to do with bringing humor to the situation, because, you know, that's what he represented for us Latinos.
Absolutely.
That time especially, you know, we didn't get no real hardcore representation. Like, they made us like really proud, and so I was proud to know him in that sense. And Pun actually, Pun and Joe performed at the Lyricist Lounge, because Lyricist Lounge is an actual showcase that started here on the Lower East Side on Orchard Street. So that's the roots of it, and it started out as a showcase of people able to come and kick their rhymes and just underground lyricists just getting their shine on, and it started to grow from there, and then it opened up into different venues, SOBs, Tramps, different venues across the city. And then it started getting notoriety, and then different artists like Biggie Smalls, Eminem, Big Pun, like all of these artists, Foxy Brown, they all wanted to get on the Lyricist Lounge because it was known as that platform to show your skills.
Absolutely.
So Pun and Joe performed Twins, and I had put a little clip on my Instagram the other day as a throwback, with Pun spitting that in the middle of Little Italy, that lyric that he did for the Twin song at the Lyricist Lounge. And I'm seeing in the background, like, cheering him on, because I'm a straight up fan of that brother, and just like of any, I would say first and foremost of Latinos that are doing that thing, because we always have to fight harder to just like get recognition and get notoriety.
Tell me about it.
And there's so many like true pioneers of hip hop that don't get their props and have been there since the beginning. And I like to always, like, you know,
give our flowers,
showcase that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you have one guest that you remember, your favorite?
No, I don't have a favorite, but I mean, so many. We had CeeLo Green. Yeah, we had.
When he was with Goody Mob.
A lot of people know him from Goody Mob.
Goody Mob, yeah.
Yeah, he was he also has like a solo career, and the singer, and really dope. But we did a prison scene with him, like, so that was memorable. There was one that didn't have any guests, but that we did call Saving Private Ryan, and with the different cast members, and that was really dope. We did it with the Swiss Beats track. It was remade by the brother Def Jeff. He always like was able to remake tracks if we couldn't get them cleared, and so we did that. We had Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was a good guest on the show. We had like a heist, like it was the lady thought it was, you know, she was getting robbed because these black guys came in to buy some jewelry, and she got scared, and so she rang the alarm, and it's like, these dudes got money or whatever. But anyway, we had one with Common, which I think that was probably because it was a series. It was the barbershop. We did a barbershop series, and that one was fun to do because we played like different eras. So we did like the 60s, so it was kind of like the civil rights movement era. You know, we did one to the future.
That's so dope. So
And
dope.
so yeah, so that one was like a lot of fun to do
Do
as
you
well.
think of ever bringing that back, or do you think maybe the time has just passed? I think people would still be interested in that. You know, it has like an
Well,
old school vibe to it.
no, absolutely. I mean, I mean, it's one of those things that people would say, "Oh, that show was ahead of its time." I would say that it was just right on time because it just things happen when they're supposed to happen. As far as bringing it back, I mean, you get a lot of shows that have been influenced by it. You have Wild 'N Out that was influenced by the
That's
lyrics of ours.
true.
There's different shows that kind of like got their influence from it, and that's dope. As far as bringing it back, I mean, it can absolutely be done again. You know what I'm saying? But it's something where whoever wants to do it or whoever wants to be involved, it has to be like the right elements to it.
Let's do it. I'll be your host
um,
for 5 seconds on the show.
so yeah, my brother Wordsworth has been talking to those guys, and I actually sat in on a couple of sessions. They've been having sessions, which is pretty dope, with some young talented artists, and I sat in and kind of like listened to these artists write their rhymes and write their stories and kind of like help guide them. And so it's all about just like sharing the resources and getting more people involved in it, and it absolutely can be done. It's just something that we got to be able to use our talents to tell our stories, and rhyming and poetry is a way that people can do that.
People remember it. Des Irie said it needs to come back. She misses it. Eric Torio said he'll do the graphics. Diasen said I'll do a segment of hosting you, so introducing you. I mean, you got your team already. Let's do the damn thing. I think it's needed. There's a lot of lyricists out there. There's a lot of independent artists, especially of the Latino world. We have written poetry everywhere. Like, we need guidance because we just do. We need guidance, and I pray that maybe you can get that off. And whatever help you need, I'm here. Real quick. I remember seeing you in videos too. Were you ever in the Roots video?
Yeah, I've been in so many videos. It's crazy. The Roots video is probably like one of the ones that it kind of solidified everything, because I've been in so many videos, and I'm friends with those guys because when they first came to the city and they were trying to like get a record deal, and they were like working on doing something with Def Jam, and it was very early on. They at the time they were coming around here doing showcases and stuff in the city, and I was hosting a lot of those showcases that would happen. And so it just so happened that one of the videos, I've been in a couple of Roots videos, but one of the videos I did was a song called What They Do, and it was almost like they put the subtitles, how does this guy get in all the videos? Because at that time I was the guy that people would reach out to and be like, yo, I want you to be in my video. And it just became this thing. And I just was in random videos, from Madonna to Biggable Planets to De La Soul.
Yes, I remember all of that because I grew up watching videos. Like VH1 came later, but BET, The Basement, Rap City, like Video Soul, like Video Music Box, like TR. I mean, all of that I was watching. I know, like, I still remember visuals and dance steps like you wouldn't believe. And I remember people in videos. And right away when I saw you a couple of years back, I said, I know him from somewhere. And I remember you was part of like that neo soul hip hop movement, like you said, Erykah Badu, Common, The Roots. Very dope.
A lot of those guys, most that.
I love it. Do you talk to any of them really quickly? Or it's kind of like
if I see them, or we might say something on, comment on something, or send a quick DM, things like that. But I haven't hung out with them in a while. This is if they do a show in the city, I happen to be somewhere where they are. But yeah, a lot of our guests, we still have love for each other. So of course, if we see each other, it's gonna be
absolutely. Everybody plays a part in the journey, and they did their job. That's all. Anything else you want to say about hip hop? Now we're in 2020, and the music is kind of coming back. Like, even the DJs are kind of getting over the 90s and actually going back in the crates into the 70s, which I've been really enjoying. For instance, Crazy Legs does it, Tony Touch does it, D Nice is amazing with it, Lord Finesse does it. How are you feeling with the whole transition of the hip hop? And do you agree that hip hop maybe can come back the way it used to be?
I think that everything is supposed to evolve. And as far as when you're talking about hip hop and good music and good hip hop music, I think there is good hip hop music out there. We just have to research it. There's like dope people that I'm connected with, and just in general, like if you think about lyrics and lyricists, just because it's not popular doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We just have to do more work to find it. You know, hip hop has been hijacked, and it used to be, you know, the reporters on the street telling it like it is, and letting us know what's going on. And we had, you know, diversity. Now it's just kind of like one-sided, but that's only if you think about it in a commercial context. But the real hip hop still does exist when you talk about variety and you talk about, you know, lyrics and storytelling. It does exist. You know, you just have to like search for it, and you have to eliminate the BS from your feed and look for those dope artists that are still out there.
Yeah.
And the sister Dajali was saying to curate your feed. So whatever you want to see, if you're into activism, if you're into hip hop music and you're into lyrics and you're into that sort of thing, then curate your feed for that and eliminate the stuff that doesn't serve you any purpose.
Absolutely.
If you want to learn about meditation and spirituality, then curate your feed around that as well. You know, I'm an artist, athlete, activist, and I'm first and foremost, I'm a spiritual being. So I always try to curate my feed towards those things, so that that's what I'm constantly like feeding, right? It's called a feed, right? It's feeding you. So you have to understand that you are in charge and in control of what you feed yourself. That's what you can control. You know, there's other things in the outside that you can't control. Like, you know, when money is involved in things, when it's, as far as capitalism and movements get hijacked, or things that we create, they basically hijack them and resell it to us. But it's up to us to be able to like really control and support those that we really honor and we respect, and that are keeping the legacy alive and are really telling our stories. And that's the same thing with artists that draw, with graffiti artists, with artists that are making a living doing this, but they're actually like feeding you, and they're actually providing a service. And I think that is getting back to that. So now in this moment that we have right now, we've seen that everything has been an illusion and it's been all based off of distractions, and we don't have a lot of those distractions right now. I mean, they're trying to bring them back in the form of sports and whatever else. It's cool to have, you know, your little getaways or little escapes or whatever, but you can't fall into just that's the only thing about life that is. You know, you got to be able to develop yourself and be able to feed yourself with things that are going to help you grow and evolve as a person. So I think music is always evolving. I think art is always evolving. I think that we need to just continue to support those that we feel are serving us a purpose and really helping to tell our stories. And we got to look for it. We got to do our research and reprogram our minds from what we've been fed all of this time. So
absolutely. Your response reminded me of a conversation I had with Do It All from Laws of the Underground. And he basically said hip hop evolves and it goes through its stages, and nobody's better than anybody. But, you know, you do appreciate the old school stuff, but it is what it is. I want to say a shout out to Little C's, who's in the building. Check him out on Thursday because he's doing a tribute to Biggie's birthday. He's learning actually how to DJ. I watch him every night. We're up at 4 a.m. chatting with each other like idiots. So what up, BK, Little C's? I have a question from Mason at 519, hence the date. It is her birthday today. It's a very special birthday for her. She wants to know, what artists are you listening to right now?
Right, when you say right now, then I'm taking it back to some old school salsa and some old school lyricists, like, you know, Hector Lavoe is a dope. I consider him like an MC. I mean, Ruben Blades wrote a lot of songs, but Imae Rivera, you know, I'm listening to that. That's right now, and I say right now because like that's the kind of like mode and vibe that I'm in, is like kind of, you know, paying homage to those guys that represent what I come from, which is a mixture of hip hop and salsa music, because that's what I grew up listening to.
Absolutely.
Of course, my brothers Master Ace and Wordsworth always, you know, inspire me whenever they drop anything, or, you know, they share some music. But as far as like other styles of music, I'm listening to a lot of inspirational music. So like Bob Marley, I'm listening to a lot of his lyrics right now, because that's the vibe that I'm in. You know, at this moment, I see that it's really important for us to pay homage and listen to our elders and people that were telling us stuff in the past, and the messages that were behind their music. And it helps to guide us, you know, and what's going on in the times that's happening right now. I'm currently writing a book. I would say 2 books, because it's kind of like some of my writings, and then some lyrics that I wrote in the past that I consider like a journal.
Yeah.
And so I've been like putting those things together. So I've been finding a lot of like old writings, and kind of like putting those things together.
I would love to bring you on and talk about that when you're ready.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
There's
definitely.
an artist in Puerto Rico that I listen to as well. I actually connected him with a dope producer named Itaka. There's this dope artist from Puerto Rico. It's called Malacara. That's my brother. And so I'm really into finding artists. There's another brother called Outer National. I'm discovering and then also connecting with different artists that I know of that are speaking what we need to hear right now.
Absolutely.
Like right now is a pivotal moment. Like I said, like it's okay to, you know, look for distractions here and there. Like I say that the live that I do is a distraction to the distractions, because there have been so many distractions in our past life that we were caught up and they didn't allow us to go within and find out who our true authentic self is. We were listening to what other people tell us we are or how we should be. And even with social media, it's like how people say that we should dress or how we should be, when we're creators. So we have to like take back that ownership and put our energy towards those things that we want to see, like that are positive, that we want to, you know, continue to curate our feeds with those kind of things. And so it's important for us to get back to that. So as far as like the distractions, don't look for distractions. If you have less distractions from the past, then try to go more within yourself and try to find out who you truly are, because you need to learn how to pick things up and then kind of like let them go at the same time, not being holding on to things. And that's the same thing with emotions. Like we're going through a lot of emotions right now. Uncertainty is okay. It's okay to be uncertain. Don't get caught up with that being a bad thing.
Right.
Don't suffer. You make yourself suffer when you try to hold on so much to the past or how things were. You gotta let go and just like go with the flow. You know, emotion is energy in motion. You know, so we have to be able to just like understand what that is, see what the labels and the stories associated with it. Okay, I'm angry because of this, or this person filled me with this. Why am I feeling that? Okay, these are the stories associated with it. Okay, now I'm gonna remove those labels and associations, and I'm gonna treat it just as energy. And we have energy inside of us. We're powerful, and we could shift it in any which way.
I love that you're saying this. This is all mental health. These are tips for you to cope with the change and the adjusting. And, you know, we're human beings. We adapt. You have to let yourself adapt. We don't want to go back to the old norm. The old norm was not doing good. We're killing each other. We're not safe. The trains are a mess. Like, we don't want to go back to the old, you know, we can't do it. We have to move forward. I think we got like maybe 5 more minutes on here. So if we get cut off and our conversation is not done, we can come right back, or whatever the case may be.
We just have to be empathetic, you know. We have to be, you know, more caring.
Welcoming. Welcoming. We're being cleansed out. I mean, I see stars now where I live. I can see a star shine bright. The air feels so much better. My mental state is clear, you know, like it's a blessing in disguise. It really is. And I'm even drinking a gallon of water every day for the last 2.5 months. So, you know, things just change and people just need to adjust. Stop complaining. Stop being so worried. God got you. You know, I understand money is an issue, but you're not going to get evicted and you're not going to get in trouble for it. So just chill. But I know there's very stressful homes. We're dealing with domestic violence. We're dealing with children being home, you know, being abused. We're dealing with a lot of things that are not good. But if you are blessed to not be in that situation, just take it as a journey. It's a beautiful journey. It's actually very peaceful.
That's part of us as a people, just being able to build and being able to love ourselves.
Yeah.
And share that with others. And as a community, I think we will be able to heal together, and we'll be able to address those issues that have been going on forever. Like they're highlighted and you know, news here and there. We find out about them, but these are things that have been going on forever. And the main reason why they've been happening is because of this systematic racism and this oppression that has been happening to our people. And you see it with the marginalized communities. You see the disparities, in the healthcare system. You see the people that are being most affected by this COVID virus, because it has to do with things that we have not addressed. And we have to address those things as our health, our healthcare, our mental health.
Yes.
We have to learn how to love ourselves so that we can love others. But all of these things is part of education and part of us being accountable. And what I say is our accountability is a threat to their stability, because there's these systems that are put in place that don't want us to unite. They don't want us to be together. Absolutely. And they are purposely put in this situation, and they cause these situations to keep us divided, to keep us wanting to hoard resources, or wanting to keep us, thinking that we need to get this amount of stuff and excess so that we don't share it because that person is a threat to us. But there's abundance out there, my people. We have to work together, and the minute we start working together and they start seeing that we're working together, then that's when we're gonna shift the energy. So they're gonna have to change their ways. What I'm saying? It's about us changing our ways, and then everything else is affected by that, because we can have the numbers, but if we're not together and we're not united, it doesn't mean anything.
And everybody wants to always say that, but are you actually doing the action? And sometimes the action is as simple as just getting on a live, writing a quote, sharing the inspiration with your friends and family, the resources. Go to your community boards, and every zip code there's a community board that gives you the resources. I work for one in South Bronx, the District 2, Salamanca's area. Use your resources. We're here to help. You just have to be vulnerable, open, and willing to put in the work. There's a lot of people, especially with the Latinos, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm in the Southern Boulevard, I know how we get down. We're very needy, we want everything given to us. And it's no, put in the work. You will feel so fulfilled as a community if you put in the work. What do you have anything to say to our Latino men out here? Because I feel like sometimes we're struggling with our men out here, and I don't know, we need some advice.
What I'm gonna say is just basically our Black and brown people, in general. I mean, I'm gonna say that it's just our people that have been instilled all of these ways of being, that we have to reprogram ourselves. We have to reprogram our minds, and that's what this moment now can help us do. There's people that are in different levels as far as have been evolving, and so we can't be judgmental, as somebody may not be where we are right now. We can try to help people, but if they're not ready, then they're just not ready. We can't judge them for that. We have to continue moving on our journey.
Absolutely.
And example through our actions. Right, because a lot of people could talk a good one, but if their actions are not coinciding with their words, then we can't really mess with them. And that's the thing. We have to be more of an example than telling people. We have to show them. We have to educate. We have to teach. We have to be able to do all of these things, but the actions are the ones that are going to cause people to move. And so when it comes to people not being ready, there's a lot of people that we want them to be at the level that we are.
Yeah.
And they're just not ready, because they're in life. We all have, different purposes, and we all have different positions that we play, and we have to understand that no one is better than the other one. It's the same thing when I'm running in my running community. I try to teach people that just because someone is faster doesn't mean that they're better than the person in the back of the pack.
That's right.
We're all together, and we're all a team. And that's what life is all about. And that's what being part of the community is all about. We have to help uplift one another. And that's the way we're going to do it, by not being judgmental.
I had 22 seconds with you. I think we fulfilled a lot. I think we gave a lot of jewels. I want to give you flowers for being who you are. We love you. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's talk behind the scenes. Let's meet soon. I love you. And stand in power, okay?
Peace, Amana. We'll do it again for sure.
Yes. Get in line, guys. Get in line.
So let's all grab a seat and you better get in line.